Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 171. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
Hey, what's good, everybody? Good to be back on another show with you fine people.
Absolutely. We also have Mr. Jake James Lugo. How's it going, Mr. Lugo?
I'm doing good, Rich. I'm looking forward to today's discussion. A lot of stuff to touch on. Should be fun.
Absolutely. And we are also joined by Mr. Max Muller. How's it going, Max?
Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm excited to be on the show again.
Yes, glad to have you back on the show. So we do have quite a bit of topics to get into because there's been a lot of news that is either it has already happened or it's about to happen. So we'll talk about that soon. But before we do that, we're going to talk about what we have been playing. So how about you go first, Max, and let us know what you've been playing.
All right, well, my previous week has been pretty busy with work and everything, so I haven't had too much time to play, but I've been playing a lot of Smash 4 because we have a buddy visiting, so I've been trying to get my game up in that, playing Fox and Sonic as my main characters. And then I was actually able to start Final Fantasy VI, my first actual Final Fantasy game, a few days ago. I'm about 6 hours into that and loving it, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on for a bit.
Sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. So how about you, Mr. Lugo? What have you been playing?
So I've been a busy bug, as always, like usual. I've been playing a lot of different games, games for review, as always. That we got some big reviews coming within the next week or so, and then another one towards the end of the month that I'll be able to talk about and kind of address something for the audience. You know, some of our viewers, some of our listeners, and people that are probably in the chat now. We do have King of Fighters 14. We have a review copy. I got it from Atlas and SNK not too long ago. The embargo for us to talk about the game specifically is for the end of the month. But as some of you might know, the street date for the game got broken recently. Now, I reached out to John Harden, our boy over at Atlas, Mr. John Harden, who helps us out, when it comes to doing reviews and such about it, to let him know, hey, this is happening. What do we do? Do we talk about the game? Do we not? And we're still waiting on word back from him about it. Basically, the last time he hit me up, he's waiting on Atlas to get back to him about it, or SNK specifically, to find out what to do, because people broke street date for the game. And, this happened with No Man's Sky. Recently, I know that me and Gary, and I think even you too, Rich, we talked about this on the last co-op that I was on. And, it always sucks when street date gets broken. It causes all types of snafus and stuff, and it also ruins any embargoes that a lot of people have. But as soon as we get the okay, whether it's before the embargo or right at the embargo, we'll be able to talk more about that game. Because, again, our review's still going to go up right when the embargo lifts. But don't worry, we're still reviewing that game. That's going to be coming very soon. Same thing also goes for Metroid Prime Federation Force. I actually got the review copy from Nintendo. They sent it over to me. And I'm reviewing the game. The review embargo ends for this week coming up. I believe it's Thursday night, or midnight basically to Friday morning is when my review is going to go up of that game. Pretty crazy because there's a lot of facets to everything surrounding this game. A lot of people have had all sorts of reactions and kind of opinions about it. It's been generally negative for one reason or another, because a lot of people are upset that it's not a true Metroid Prime game. But for the most part, I think people are being a little bit too unfair on it. But I'm going to be able to tell everybody why specifically in my review when it goes up later this coming week, which, again, is going to be Friday morning, midnight. So that should be interesting. But besides that, been playing a little bit more Brutal. I actually want to get this trophy that they have in Brutal called Enter the Dragon because, as a Bruce Lee fan, it's kind of a fun little nod. So I just want it. All it pretty much requires me to do is to go through all 26 dungeons of that game, and it's kind of tough because the dungeons get really progressively harder. Again, you can find out more about that on the review we have on the website for Brutal, as well as check out the interview we got. But that's really what I've been playing. Just been trying to grind through those games, trying to get through them, and actually get those reviews done for everybody.
Sounds awesome. Allow me to take this time to give a shout out to Nintendo for actually sending us a game for review. So I have to give them a round of applause for that one.
For once, right?
Yes, absolutely, for once. So we'll see what comes from this. I look forward to hearing about this game. I know that game has been something that everybody has had some negative thoughts on. So look forward to hearing that thought as well as King of Fighters. So stay tuned for that. How about you, Gary? What have you been playing?
I'll get the obvious out the way first. I've been playing Overwatch still. I'm still having a lot of fun in that game. and I'm on a mission to unlock as much as of the new skins as possible, the summer games themed skins and stuff like that. I got pretty annoyed because like for like 3 days I was just unlocking like player icons and sprays and like just useless BS like that. And I actually want the skins, like the new skins for the characters and stuff. So I was getting annoyed at that because they kept giving me garbage in the loot boxes. But yeah, overall it's still a fun game. I can see myself playing it for months to come. Even like it's just that fun to play, even though there's not that much to do. I know there's complaints that it doesn't have a story mode or anything like that, but I think the core gameplay mechanics themselves are fun enough to where you can enjoy it for what it is. So yeah, still loving Overwatch. I also did a bit of retro gaming because Richard Bailey mentioned Streets of Rage on Throw Down Your Questions last week. So that made me want to actually go back and play some of the Streets of Rage games again. So I did that briefly a couple of days ago. And I've also been playing the game that everyone's talking about right now, which is No Man's Sky. And well, we've got a whole topic to talk about that actually. So I'll save most of my thoughts for that. But I will say that a lot of my comments on the game, or a lot of my opinions, they're not all negative after playing it. So I'll say that. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. That's all I've been playing so far.
Well, I look forward to that discussion because, from what I understand, people can't stop talking about No Man's Sky. So, yeah, I look forward to that discussion. As for what I've been playing, not really anything too exciting or new. I've been, once again, playing XCOM because, backwards compatibility on Xbox One, I just been playing that. Didn't really have any goal in mind to play anything else because I'm waiting for Deus Ex, which will be out in about 2 weeks, and, of course, Madden, which is another game that will be out in 2 weeks. So, I'm just saving myself a little bit of time with playing any of the newer stuff because I'm looking forward to these games a little bit more. I would imagine that eventually I'll try out No Man's Sky, but for right now, I'm focused on these other 2 games because I've been waiting for both of them. More so Deus Ex than Madden, but you get the point. But yeah, that's pretty much what we have been playing for this week. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into the topics. First and foremost, I felt like it's absolutely necessary to talk about this now because as of this recording, this is a rumor. There's no confirmations quite yet, but apparently there's a rumor floating around that Final Fantasy 15 is delayed, and now the game is not coming out to, I believe, November 29th. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, after Black Friday.
Yeah, okay, after Black Friday. So, according to several sources, I know Kotaku has reported on this, IGN as well, but they actually had some instructions that were sent to GameStop that said that, pretty much informed them to gave them instructions on how to update their display ads in their promotional materials for Final Fantasy 15. And an official announcement is supposed to come tomorrow, which is Monday, August 15th. So the show will be up by that time, but we felt like we wanted to talk about this, the pros and cons of this, because I do have a few complaints. But before I give my thoughts, how about you start us off, Gary? I know you've been looking forward to this game, so what do you think about this delay?
Yeah, first of all, this is like Square Enix wedged a spear right through me, like this delay, because I've been looking. This is the whole reason I've been looking forward to September. Like I've been looking forward to September this year, all year pretty much. But yeah, as for the actual delay, I mean, we don't know the details. Yeah, it's still a rumor at this point, but I fully expect that, by the time this podcast drops on the site, I think there will be a full announcement that it is confirmed, that the delay is true. And as for my true thoughts on this, although I'm gutted, if it's to improve the game itself, then that's fair enough because I'd rather have the game be as polished as it can be when it does release. So yeah, I mean, if it's for legit reasons, then hey, I don't mind so much. But I really was looking forward to September because of that game. At least it's still coming out this year, though. You know, if they would have pushed it back to next year or something, then I would have been like in full on rage mode right now. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it right now.
All right, so I am going to come back to you a little bit later because I do have another question related to this. But how about you, JJ and Max? So what do you think about this delay? You could go first, JJ.
To be honest with you, I think that, this is hopefully going to work to their benefit. I think there's a number of different factors why this delay is happening. Because keep in mind, number one, in Japan, Final Fantasy 15 is coming around the same time as Persona 5. I think that partially has something to do with it. I think also behind the scenes, not so much into the public eye. I think they're in crunch time. There's probably a lot of stuff they're trying to get done. I think the lukewarm to kind of like pseudo-negative response to Final Fantasy 15 at E3 this past June probably has something to do with it, because obviously even though that demo they showed wasn't indicative of the entire game, it still left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I remember being there and actually playing the demo itself, and there was a lot of little scripted events. It wasn't so much like super polished. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like completely good, or at least in the same level as like what I got from like the Platinum demo or the Episode to Sky demo. I think that they're kind of like getting really. It's kind of at this point a race to the finish line. I remember hearing that on another podcast where they were talking about the overall overarching development of Final Fantasy 15 within the last like year or so since we've seen this game, and even since we last saw it at the actual Uncovered event for Final Fantasy 15. I think like they're in the final hours of the development of that, and like they're just trying to struggle to get everything done before the release date. And I think giving them the extra few months would actually be a great thing for them. But I think also all these other things kind of like factored into it. But who knows? Maybe this will probably be like the difference between having a great game or having a fantastic game, because it worked so well for developers like Naughty Dog. I mean, they talked openly about that. Like, I believe it was either Uncharted 3 or Uncharted 4, where they had that extra month or two to finish up the game, and it ended up really kind of making or breaking them in that time frame. But who knows? This is Square Enix we're talking about. But what do you think about this, Max?
I'm going to have to agree with pretty much everything that's been said. Most of what's been said has pretty much covered all of it. I just have to imagine that these next few months they're just taking to polish the game, because there obviously aren't any huge changes they can make to it, but I have to agree that it would be for the benefit of the game. I know that the game has been delayed for, what is it, like 10 years now? So I have to imagine a few months can't be that much longer in their eyes, even though it sucks, and it would have been great to have it in September, but there's nothing we could do about that, I guess, so we're just going to have to wait and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely that. Definitely have to wait and hope for the best. I know that many times, when a game is delayed, I know that the correct statement always is, well, it's fine for the long-term success of the game, that the more development time will help them to make it better. So that's good. But in the case of this game in particular, I think Square Enix definitely, had a bit of a misstep, because I go back to that Final Fantasy Uncovered event, and when they announced this is when the game is dropping, I wasn't expecting them to delay it past that date. Now, I understand that this stuff happens, but I would think you put all this time, energy, and effort into having that event, and then you decided that this was going to be one of the 15 things that you announced. I would think, well, okay, yeah, you're going to stay strong to that date, but they didn't. So, obviously, more development time helps, but I just feel like, why even announce anything when you don't know for sure when it's going to be finished? They could have just said fall 2017, I mean 2016, or anything to that effect, and that would have been fine, in my opinion.
No, I disagree. I think like they needed to assure everybody, like, okay, like this is actually happening, because again, this game's been in development for a very long time, and Square Enix is notorious for doing stuff where they don't give like definitive dates, and they don't give like definitive time frames when their games come out, because they take so long to develop for one reason or another. I think that a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, at least from what I've heard and what I've listened to from other people that know about this stuff from having been within those circles, know that at some point, they brought on, I think it was Tabata, on board for the development of it, and he actually starting to get things done. So again, it could be a number of different reasons why at this point they had to delay it. Again, snafus happen all the time. during game development. For it doesn't matter what company it is, things happen and such. But this could be to our benefit. Maybe a lot of the little issues that many people had before the demo at E3 this past year, like during like the Platinum demo, maybe all that stuff gets ironed out within this next 2 months.
Oh no! I definitely expect all of that to be ironed out. I expect the game to be damn near flawless. It has to be. I mean,
At this point, yeah, it should be. I mean, at least it should strive to be at least to that pedigree. At least everything at this point, the game should be no less than great by the time we get it in our hands.
Absolutely. And, one thing that I did want to come back to, because I know me and Gary spoke about this yesterday as this rumor was building. Again, as I said, as of this recording, it's a rumor, but I really do think it pretty much confirmed by tomorrow you'll hear something. I think that's fine, but one thing Gary said that really, really stood out to me, making light of the fact, well, now that this game is delayed, there's a lot of other games that he won't be buying because he wanted this game. So because this game is coming out in November, and as I said before, there are a lot of other games. They're not necessarily the same genre, different genres. You have all these other major titles coming out that now people been waiting for also. So that was the question that I did want to pose to Gary, because you said that now that you're going to have to not get other games because you was waiting on Final Fantasy. So is that statement still true? Or are you still planning to get all these other games as well?
Yeah, man, I'm in my feelings right now, and I'm acting mad irrational. So a few games are going to get chopped off my list. Probably, Mafia 3. I don't think I'm going to be picking that up right away. I will eventually. But, yeah, I don't think I'm going to rush to buy that game. The only game I can think of that I will be buying day one besides Final Fantasy is Battlefield 1. Because I really want that.
Those all come out within the same time frame, right? Around that November time frame?
No,
Yeah.
no.
One is October 18th, so he'll have about a month and a half with that until Final Fantasy.
All of this stuff is coming out in October. And of course, Call of Duty comes out at the beginning of November.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is literally at the end of November, at the tail end of November, and then you got another game coming out about a week after this, the South Park game.
Okay, but there's no huge releases within that same time frame as Final Fantasy 15, because I know South Park is going to be a big deal, obviously the week after, but there's no other AAA releases or crazy releases within that time frame.
When does Watch Dogs 2 come out? Is that October?
That comes out
November 15th.
Yep, there you go.
So it's beforehand. Same with Dishonored 2 is before that, November 11th.
Do you think people are going to wait? You think people are going to wait on those games when those games drop to wait to pick up Final Fantasy 15? Because obviously this changes up a lot of stuff for people, because everybody was expecting when Final Fantasy 15 drops, we have that month, pretty much all of October or at least a good chunk of it to play that game before we start getting our Dishonored 2s, we start getting our Battlefield 1, start getting into Call of Duty, etc.
Exactly. Yeah, this is going to fuck people over.
I don't know if it's going to fuck people over, but I still think it's going to still be people are going to have to choose at this point during the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
I think there's pros and cons to it, because also one of my concerns with it dropping in September was going to be that there's so much coming out after it that I might have time management issues with what I'm playing. But now since Final Fantasy is coming out last, it's you can get all those games out your system and then focus on Final Fantasy. So that's one benefit, I guess, of this.
Here's the one thing I will add. Say that you are absolutely correct when you say that there isn't any major titles coming out that week, at least from what we know so far. So they won't have a problem doing well for the majority of the tail end of November. But you could also say that this will be to the benefit as well, because I guess it will give people enough time to play this, and then you got Persona coming out in February. So that is one positive to take away from this, because it's going to be something where I think people are going to have to choose which games they want prior to this game coming out, because pretty much every game that we saw at E3 is coming out before that date, with the exception of South Park. South Park, Dead Rising 4, all of those are coming out around December, the beginning of December. So, but everything else will be out by the time that this new date, if this new date is true, everything else is going to be out before that. So we have to see how that does overall after the fact. But yeah.
Since you mentioned Persona 5, I
Yeah.
want to give a shout out to Wesley because he said keep your expectations low for Final Fantasy 15, and if it is bad, then at least you have Persona 5. So, shouts.
That's
to
gonna be a
Well,
big discussion next year. Like when that game comes out here, and even so when it comes out in Japan. Because remember, Persona 5 is still around the end of like September to October for Japan, so it'll be out for some time. But that works. This works out in the favor for Japanese gamers because now they don't really necessarily have to pick and choose which one they have to get around that time frame. They'll be able to play both or pick up both on different times of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm holding on to hope that Final Fantasy 15 will still be a really, really good game. It might not be the best one, but I think it's going to be a solid game, overall. And I wanted to ask Max as well, since he's just starting to get into Final Fantasy a little bit. Is this a game that you're going to pick up and try and get into?
Oh, day one buy. Like, it was actually going to be the first Final Fantasy I was going to start getting into, aside from the hour I played of 13.1. But I figured, why not? Yeah, there's a reason that was only for an hour. I'm really liking Final Fantasy VI, and I hope to finish it and try and get another one in by the time November drops. I guess good for me. I'll have all this extra time to play other Final Fantasy
Play 4.
games.
After you finish 6, play 4.
Play
I'm telling
4?
you. Play
All
4
right.
after you finish 6, because trust me, 6 is a great one to start out with. A lot of people consider it the best of the series. I mean, me and Gary were talking about this not so long ago on turn-based, but definitely I recommend 4. Especially if you could get the complete edition of that game on PSP, which again is the 2D sprites and has like all the extra stuff on top of it. Play that game. You won't regret it.
Wait, hold up. How come you only played 13 for an hour?
I just I couldn't do it. I
game
read
sucks,
later
Gary.
on.
Tell him.
I did read later on that it gets better. It opens up like 40 hours in, but this was also at a time where I was playing, like, was it Halo 3 still? And I think World at War were out around then, and I just had all these friends wanting to play multiplayer games, so it just drew my attention away from it. I think in another time I would have sat down and plowed through it to get to the good parts, but it just wasn't in the cards at that time. Maybe one day in the future.
You're not missing much, Max. You're not missing much. I'll put it that way.
No, that's fair enough, but I still like that game. I still love that game. Like I don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is.
Well, let me make a quick comment. If it takes 40 hours before you get in and the game gets good, that's not a good sign. So
I agree. You shouldn't have to plow through a game for it to get good. It should get good from like the very beginning, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you.
absolutely.
Or even if it takes time, it shouldn't take like so many hours to get good. Like, perfect example, we talked about this, Gary. Mass Effect 1 starts off slow, but you didn't need to play that game for like 5 or 6 hours for it to get really good. It got good like what, within the first hour? Not even, like less than that. Especially when you got out of the Citadel, it got really good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a discussion we'll have to have on turn-based sometime.
Yeah, you need to have that discussion. I know. Have Tony also chime in. I know he got something to say about Final Fantasy. But as of right now, this is just a rumor. So I guess we will find out within the next 24 hours whether or not it's accurate or not.
At this point, it's accurate. They have video. They have photographic proof of the instructions for GameStop. Like, the only thing is that there's no official announcement. That's the only thing. It's gonna happen, guys.
There are people that think it's photoshopped, but I don't know.
It's been confirmed. It's been confirmed by a bunch of places.
I like to also give a shout out to Blackstar because he sent me the NeoGAF image of this, so I know it's not photoshopped. Obviously, I would have preferred that as soon as this information was out there, Square Enix don't wait until Monday, just confirm it now. But I guess they said no, we're gonna wait until Monday to clarify this.
I mean, like, everybody's playing golf. It's Sunday. Like, they're all, at the golf
And in
club.
their defense, yeah, it is the weekend, and I know that Kotaku, when they were confirming it with Game Asia was the original place that image went up from. It was an update to their original posting of the rumor. But when they confirmed it like that, it was over the weekend. It was Saturday. Nobody's really in the office over the weekend, for that matter. So come Monday, we'll probably hear something. I don't think they're going to make a big deal about it. I think they're just going to be like, yes, game's delayed. This is when the new release date is at. And then I think people are going to be pissed for, like, what, 20 minutes tops? and then just move on from that.
Oh well, hey, hey, we'll see about that. Gary said he's gonna be pissed until the game drops, so we'll see about that. Yeah. So let me also before we move on, let me answer your question, Gary. You asked Max if he's going to pick this game up. You didn't ask me that question, so let me answer it right now. I like I said, assuming that this is the new date and there's not like a difference of dates, I am more likely to try it out now because there won't really be anything else coming out at that particular time. Now, with that said, if it takes 40 hours for me to get into the game, well, then I'll tell you right now, I will not be continuing the game. They have to get me in the beginning for me to stay on board, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, those who are, let us know in the comment section what you think about the Final Fantasy delay, whether or not you still plan on picking up the game. Yeah, we definitely want to hear your opinions on this subject.
Yeah,
So,
shouts to the lurkers in the chat.
There's some lurkers in there. Well, yeah, shout outs to all of you, even though I can't see the chat. So let's move on to the next topic. The next topic, we're going to discuss No Man's Sky. Now, I have not played this game, so you guys really have to dive into this topic because I believe you had some thoughts on No Man's Sky. I know that there was a couple of issues with the PC launch. I think all that stuff has been resolved up until this point, but I know, Gary, you had something you wanted to say about No Man's Sky, so give us some more thoughts on No Man's Sky. Was it worth the hype? Are you enjoying the experience? And is this one of your I want to say your top games of 2016?
Okay, so as for the question, was it worth the hype?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no, but it is a good game. Like, it's fundamentally a good game, I think. And if you go into it, not expecting things, then it's very enjoyable. I like the aspect of exploration and having to figure things out because, you're in space, you're in this alien world. So exploration and discovery is like it's a major thing at that point, and it really gets you into that element. When it comes to games like Minecraft and Daisy and survival type games where you have to mine materials and stuff like that, I've always been semi-intrigued with them because I'm a big RPG head, and those are kind of like RPG elements where you have to mine materials and you can buy and sell them and you can trade them and you can build things and all that sort of stuff. So that aspect of the game really got me into that whole survival kind of appeal, and I actually really see the appeal of it now, and I might try some more survival games like that because I know there's a lot of them on Steam and on PC in general. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the first hour or two I spent with the game where you have to figure out how to fix your ship. Like, it tells you the materials that you need to fix it and everything, and then you have to go off on your own and try and find all those materials to build what's necessary to fix the ship and get out of there. I like that everybody starts off on a new planet, so that has that determines what kind of materials are going to be readily available to you within the proximity and stuff like that, because you might have to venture out further to get the materials you need, or you might actually have it all within the proximity. I remember hearing that somebody actually managed to leave the first planet in like 10 minutes or something like that, but I spent about an hour there, I think an hour and a half or so. And once I actually did leave, that was impressive as well. Like, just the fact that you can get in your ship and just fly right off the planet, like just like that. There's no loading or anything like that. It's just seamless. That was impressive. Like, I gotta say that. And then, finding the space stations and seeing other ships and you being able to trade with the other ships and make an offer to buy their ship. And, just all that stuff is pretty cool, especially if you're really into, space and space exploration. Like, if I think somebody said this on the Throwdown, if No Man's Sky and Mass Effect had a baby, it would be the perfect game. Like, and I truly believe that. But you know, as for all the hype and stuff, I do still think people were overhyping it. As for the multiplayer thing, you know, I see Charles in the chat. This might annoy him. I'm sorry, Charles. But Sean Murray did kind of lie about that because there was interviews where he said, you know, he basically alluded to the fact that you could come across somebody, even if it was extremely rare. You know, he did allude to the fact that you could probably come across someone and see them, but you actually can't. But I don't think that takes away from the game at all. I think, you know, it's still interesting that you can discover things, you can name things, and, you know, people can come across stuff that you've already discovered, and that in itself is pretty interesting, I think. But yeah, so far, I mean, I'm liking the game, you know. It's a good game. I don't know how long the appeal of the game will last, or you know how long all this interest is going to last, because it's like a hot topic right now. Everybody's talking about No Man's Sky. I don't know how long that will last, but I mean it is a good game. I do recommend people try it if they're open-minded. You know, this isn't a game for everyone, so don't expect this to be like some huge blockbuster Call of Duty AAA game that everybody can kind of get into a little bit. Like, this is only for people who have you know, a certain taste in games, I guess. So yeah, that's my thoughts on No Man's Sky.
Yeah, well, it definitely sounds intriguing. As I said before, you know, I mean, we know Hello Games, the history of this company. You know, we were among one of the first sites to cover them when they did Joe Danger. So glad to hear that the game has been a success thus far. As for how long it will last, you know, I have no idea. I do know that there's a couple other games coming out in the next few weeks that you know, that's going to definitely take some attention to you know, focus on those games. I don't know how that's going to impact No Man's Sky, if at all. But did you have some thoughts also you wanted to say about No Man's Sky, JJ?
I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and play the game yet. I've been following a lot of like the reception on social media and like all over the place, like on Twitch and YouTube and such. And it's been a very mixed bag. One of the things that I think Gary brought up again is like how long a lot of this hype or how long a lot of this momentum is going to last. Some people I've seen, you know, in various different parts of the industry at different outlets and stuff, some have described it as that at some point it gets very boring. Like, it has to do with not only the repetitiveness of like constantly gathering resources just to get a little bit further in the game, but also like there's little things like the run speed or the walking speed. I think that before the patch came out, you were able to run kind of like any other, like, you know, first-person shooter game that we get in the modern day on like the current generation of consoles. But then, like, I think it was after the patch they changed up the control configuration where you weren't able to run anymore. That the one of the sticks I think was that was pushed in to run originally got changed up to just to scan, something like that. There were little changes done like that that really extends, you know, and makes things longer than what they normally were beforehand. And I can understand that. Like, to me, this is like a streamer's type of game where things are going to take a long time and you're not really doing much in the grand scheme of stuff, but you're able to kind of like talk to your audience and you're able to kind of talk to people like in the chat or something like that. And that's fine. And again, if you're someone that just like, you know, likes to just play a game and just mindlessly just do stuff and just chill, I think that this would be kind of like a good game to just have like a chill experience with that. But for everybody else that I think that where their expectations were a lot more higher, especially with the thing that you were talking about with the multiplayer, because I remember seeing those interviews, like I think it was on the Colbert Report when Sean Murray went on there, he clearly said there's multiplayer in the game where you're able to do like certain stuff. I think like little things like that probably got changed up at some point during the development cycle, like when they were developing the game, and they were very quiet about that. I think that it kind of sucks because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have liked the idea to kind of like meet up at like certain planets. That sounds like it would have been really cool. But I think also the big problem is that there isn't a lot of straight answers from Hello Games or Sean Murray himself about a lot of these different things that people have questions about. I think that if they were just a little bit much more forthcoming, despite all the crazy kind of like, you know, the visceral like response that they've gotten over the last, like, I want to say year or so in regards to No Man's Sky, I think that things would be quelled down a little bit more. I think that also the stuff with the PC version, from my understanding, has been kind of a disaster from what people have been saying. Like the control configuration, especially on a mouse and keyboard, hasn't been that great. There's a lot of frame rate issues and stuff. again, just going off of what people have been saying, but eventually I'm gonna pick up the game for the PlayStation 4 eventually on my own, so I could actually really kind of get like the full effect of like understand like what's going on with this. But just based off of everybody's response, I really don't see a lot of this hype and this momentum lasting long. I give it another the next couple months before we get the next big release, and then everybody just moves on from there.
Yeah, let me address the PC stuff as well. Yeah, so the game did launch, and apparently, it didn't perform well on PC, and it got a lot of negative reviews initially. I'm not sure what the plan is in terms of implementing a patch for the game, but yeah, it's real buggy. You have to do a lot of fiddling around with the settings when you first get into the game and stuff like that, depending on your hardware and your build, of course. But yeah, so be wary of that, people. I actually got it on PS4, and it's not that bad on PS4. Like I did notice some frame rate dips from time to time, but nothing too serious. And as for the experience, I've been hearing a lot of like interesting stories from people, who've been playing the game. Like shouts to Anthony Nash. I actually was skimming through a chat and I read one of his experiences. He actually got stuck in the game because he bought a new ship, and I guess he had to go and pick it up or something on the planet, but he couldn't actually launch the ship because I guess it was damaged, or he needed to fix it in some way, and he needed one specific material to do that, and it was 3 hours away or something on the planet, so he had to literally walk for 3 hours to get that one material to fix the ship so that he could leave the planet, basically. So I've been hearing, funny stuff like that where people can get stuck and, all that. I think for that specifically, all these, interesting stories and stuff, the game is good for that, just the fact that gamers can have a discussion about, their experiences in the game. I think that in itself is pretty cool. But yeah, did you guys have anything to say, Max, Rich?
I actually just have a few questions because I kept in the dark on the game until release, and I was going to do a day one, but after hearing about the PC ports and everything, since I don't have a PS4, I decided not to get it until later on. But one of my questions is this like a single player MMO style game? Like, is it going to be consistently updated, or is it a game you just beat and you move on with your life, or how exactly does this work? I'm confused.
See, even I don't know yet. I've been kind of ignoring a lot of the No Man's Sky articles and stuff like that have been popping up. So I don't know. I know that the aim of the game is to reach the center of the universe, but I don't know what actually happens when you do. Like, does the game end there, or does it still continue? Or I really don't know what happens. All I know is at the moment it's just exploration, and I'm having fun just doing that. So
okay, interesting. Because I'm planning on picking it up eventually if they just keep adding stuff to it, or maybe I'll get it on the cheap if it's just one of those games that you just kind of beat and move on. Even though I think it would be interesting what JJ was saying about it being like a streamer's game. Just reminding me of like Minecraft, how people are still playing Minecraft and talking to their audience even during the downtime and everything.
Yeah, I would compare it to a game like Minecraft. Like
okay,
it's definitely a lot like that.
Cool. Does anyone know how it's selling? Is No Man's Sky selling well, or is it just doing okay? Does anyone know?
I don't think we've gotten numbers yet, from my understanding, or has there been numbers released yet about how much it's selling?
Well, here's the thing. I haven't seen any numbers. I do know that there was a few people that mentioned on the throwdown that the game is sold out. Where they were at, there was literally like only copies left. That is not the case for other places, because I was just at Best Buy yesterday and I saw a whole bunch of copies of No Man's Sky. So I'm not really sure. I guess it depends on where you're at. But yeah, I think the game is still selling well. I know it was. Well, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did believe that this is one of the top-selling games on Steam so far this year, because I saw an article earlier today that said that it sold pretty well on Steam. So even though it had those issues, I mean, and the other thing is, I think some of those issues have been fixed. I can't confirm that, but I do believe that they are working fast to address a lot of the issues that people had with the game when it launched.
Based on the blind hype for the game, I do think it will sell well. And I say blind hype, even though I'm enjoying the game somewhat, I do still think that people hyped it unknowingly, like they didn't even know why they were hyping it. So.
Well, the developers did not really go into any details about what you can expect from this game. You didn't really know some information until they started releasing those videos about a few weeks ago about the exploration stuff and all this other stuff. They did say before what you could expect, but they didn't really provide any more details beyond that, so because they still wanted people to actually explore it for themselves. So, I believe that as well as the simple fact that, well, there ain't really any other games out at the moment, so I think it will do well sales-wise when, at the end of the day, because of that. But, I mean, there's 2 other major games coming out in 2 weeks that I think are absolutely going to sell millions of copies. I mean, I don't know if Deus Ex is going to sell millions, but I know Madden, that's probably going to be the top-selling game this month.
Mm-hmm.
But as for No Man's Sky, like I said before, I'm interested in trying it out. But again, there's a few other games that I know are coming, and I know how I am when I purchase a game, and I don't really put the time into it. I don't want to build up, add to my catalog of things that I haven't played in a while. I would much rather get through these games that I'm playing and then move on to other stuff. So this is a game that's not going to be something you could just be done with in a day or two, especially not on my schedule. So it requires time and learning how to do stuff. That's why I said I think I'm good for now. When I'm looking for a game later and I have a whole bunch of time, then I'll invest my time into it. But for now, nah, not right now.
Yeah, shouts to Blackstar. He said they're adding free content in the next update, and it's going to be base building and owning giant space freighters. So that sounds cool, I guess.
Well, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's appealing to me.
Yeah, as long as they support the game, that I think the game will last as long as the support is there. I mean, I heard of people making mention of the fact it's very similar business model to Destiny in the sense where there will constantly be updates and stuff to that. I think every update is going to be free, from what I understand. I haven't heard anything about no paid content, but that could change later. Who knows? But I just think it's a game that's going to constantly evolve over time. So it's probably going to be a totally different game in a couple months now than it is right now. But I'm all for that. Like I said, I just don't have the time to really jump into something that massive at the moment. But I am going to jump into it at some point. No doubt about that.
I just think it's interesting because recently I found myself saying for a lot of games nowadays, like, oh, this game just came out. That doesn't have that many features right now, but imagine this game in a year. Like Pokemon Go, I think, is the biggest recent example. And while that's cool, I find myself saying that for more and more games lately. And at a point, it's just kind of like, all right, I don't want to wait a year for some of these games to be great.
I agree.
I'm not playing it in a year. I just kind of want it to be great now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think that's what I think a lot of people are going to be feeling if they haven't already felt that at this point. I mean, obviously, you have to know what you're getting into no matter what game that you purchase. But I don't think it's kind of, I don't think it should be okay per se for almost every title, or at least the majority of them, to have only kind of like a minimal amount of content or minimal amount of stuff there when you buy the game. And then over time, like over the course of a year to 2 years, maybe 3 years, start getting to the point where it was actually getting to the point where they wanted it to be at launch. Like, you know what I mean? Exactly. Like, at least the most ideal thing. And I think that, maybe there's a little bit of that with No Man's Sky because obviously we're getting the free update with all that extra content and such. But then obviously I'm pretty sure, like, at some point then maybe they're probably going to be considering adding multiplayer where you could actually probably meet up with players later on. Yet this was kind of like a thing that was talked about at launch that just is not there now. Or at least was maybe never there to begin with. I mean, we don't know. The biggest problem, like I said earlier, was that there isn't a lot of clear answers about what's been going on with this game, especially from Hello Games themselves. Again, could be a PR thing. I think that, again, a lot of that has to do with the reception that they've gotten over the last, like, year or so, with everybody's kind of, like, overhyping or overexcitement for this game. But again, a little bit of transparency and a little bit of honesty, maybe, and just genuine forthcoming with what's going on with it, I think would do them a world of good.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. Like a feature like base building should have been in the game when it launched. To be honest with you,
That's like something from Fallout 4, basically.
Yeah.
That's at least that what it sounds like to me. It's like basically the town management in Fallout 4.
Yeah, like
Hopefully
because
it'll
it
be
would have been
handled a bit
cool.
better.
Because you're discovering these planets for the first time and stuff. Like it would be real cool to just build your own base on each of them. Like I don't see why that wasn't
Then at
a
that
feature
point,
at
I mean,
launch.
without that, to be honest with you, like as it stands now before the update, what is the point of just honestly going to every single planet? I mean, besides naming it, besides gathering the resources, that's pretty obvious at this point. But what else do you really do on the planet?
I mean, you can discover stuff. There's stations, space stations, and waypoints and stuff like that. Yeah.
But do you honestly get anything out of just being on new different planets other than that? Other than maybe recording the fact that you discovered it and that you named it?
Not really, not right now. No, I haven't seen anything that exciting.
And that's my
I mean,
point. And I think that's where everybody's getting hung up on.
That's why I think it would have been real cool if you could actually discover other players. Like that would just add something, new to the experience of going to a planet for the first time and stuff like that. So.
Actually, I have a quick interjection. One of my buddies and I were talking about No Man's Sky yesterday, and again, I haven't been keeping up on the news or anything, but he was saying that a few months ago in the interviews that Hello Games was saying this is only supposed to be more of a chill exploration game and don't expect much from it otherwise once it launched. Like he was just saying, yeah, you're supposed to chill out and just kind of explore the planets and just gather resources and not really do much else. Now, if that's true, I just can't imagine why all these players just didn't hear about that.
That's the thing, Max. That's the crazy thing, is that before that quote came out, because that was kind of in response to a lot of the responses that people were having online to what was going on with No Man's Sky. Basically, early before then, I'll go even further back to like when they first showed it at PlayStation Experience. Like they really kind of, the way they presented the game, the way Sony got behind it and gave it the stage time, and actually the way they were talking about the game made it seem like there was more there than what actually we've gotten now. And that's what everybody was based off. Now, don't get me wrong. There were plenty of people out there that really ran wilds with their imaginations of what this game might be. And that's on them. They have to temper their own expectations and stuff. But I still think that there's a little bit of blame to put on both PlayStation and on Hello Games for not really kind of being crystal clear right from the get-go. I think there's been a lot of ambiguous answers from them, especially in all the interviews you see with Sean Murray, the way he talks about it. And again, you can't mistake him coming on saying there was multiplayer in the game in all those interviews that he did where he came out and said there's multiplayer in the game. Like that's pretty clear cut. So that's understandable why people are upset about that.
Okay, I see.
Wow. Well, allow me to say, I do agree with a lot of what you guys have said as far as some of this stuff did need to be in the game, the base building, possibly. Yeah, that probably should have been in the game before launch. But with all that said, I look forward to seeing the comment section, because I know all the people that love No Man's Sky, they coming after all three of y'all in that comment section. Yeah.
Most likely.
Bring it, son!
Whoa.
That's how I'm about pulling down the gun. Bring it, son. Let's go.
Well, hey, but I think what you said about that is a very valid point, because it seems like a lot of games this generation, I don't want to say it's a half-assed release, but they're releasing shit and you're still missing stuff. Destiny was missing some stuff. I would say a story, for one, because the story they gave us, what the hell is this? There's a lot of stuff that was missing from some of these games. Evolved, which is a game that I reviewed on the site. We'll see what happens, but I do believe No Man's Sky is better than the games that I just mentioned, but we'll see. What were you going to say, Gary?
Yeah, just to close off my thoughts, and bounce off of what Max said. If it was their intention to just create a chill out, space exploration experience, then job succeeded. It's definitely that. But it just seemed like, there was going to be more to it. There was like an aura of mystique there that made people believe that there would be more. Plus, people themselves overhyped it as well, so that just added to it.
Well, that's exactly what it was. And they didn't know any information, so they overhyped it. So but I mean, It's all right. I mean, I still think it has to be a good game. And I don't say that because it's not like Hello Games is paying me to say it. I just think it's a good game. I saw what they did before. This is definitely a lot more ambitious than Joe Danger ever was, so I give him props for making a much more ambitious game. Uh, and like I said, I'll eventually try it out. But for those in the comment section that have tried this game out, feel free to let us know what you think because I'm very interested in hearing your feedback on this. So let's move on to the next topic. This is a bit of a quick one, and then we're going to get into the meat of these other discussions. But we received a report earlier last week that the Xbox One outsold the PlayStation 4 in the July hardware NPD sales. And on top of that, the Nintendo 3DS outsold both of the consoles. So wanted to see if anybody had any quick thoughts on this. How about you go first, Max? You have any thoughts?
I don't have any major thoughts. I just thought it was interesting. I remember reading that news, and I'm not entirely sure what the reason is. I don't really know which games. I don't think there are any big games coming out that would have done that specifically. Most of the games coming out have been multi-platform and stuff like that. So I don't really know why. I'm happy about it as an Xbox owner, but yeah, I really don't know.
Well, go ahead. What you gonna say, Gary?
Did they reduce the price or something?
Yeah, the price is $249 now for the regular Xbox, but
Did they?
yeah, the price is the price is $249, but then the Xbox One S is also out. So yeah, that came out August 2nd. So
like I don't know why would people buy the regular Xbox One at that point? Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't understand.
well, it's very
That's a
simple.
very good question.
Well, it's very simple answer, Gary. Maybe these people don't have a 4K TV and they didn't see the need to buy the Xbox One S. And then also it's only $250.
Yeah, it's cheaper. That's really probably the biggest reason, to be honest with you. Maybe also keep in mind, like I know certain stores have bundles, especially when there's a price drop, and it's not necessarily ones that like you're seeing advertised by like Microsoft and stuff. Like if you go to like a Target or go to a Best Buy, or I'll even argue to a GameStop, you could get that console for like that $250, but every once in a while they'll have like a deal with it, depending on the week or the month, that they'll throw in like a game or two, maybe another controller, maybe some amount of time with Xbox Live Gold. Like, there's little things like that that probably contribute to it.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of bundles where they were giving out 3 or 4 games with the system for the same price. So that's...
Now, they should be mentioned that sometimes those are pre-owned systems. Those aren't necessarily new systems. So obviously, those pre-owned systems don't get counted towards those numbers. I think with the NPDs, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct. Yes. So I mean, it's interesting that it happened. Not really a big deal because I mean, I don't really. I mean, it's. I guess you could say if you were someone who's looking at numbers and all this other stuff, you would care about that type of stuff. I would have to say I'm glad that Microsoft did well. I know a lot of people seem to think that they're going to do well in August. I don't know if I agree with that because there's a couple games coming out this month. You got No Man's Sky out now. You got Madden and Deus Ex and King of Fighters all coming out the same day. I'm pretty sure that Madden will sell better on PlayStation 4 like it did last year in PDs. So I'm thinking PlayStation 4 may be the top selling console, but who knows? But I will say that if there was ever going to be a month that I would expect Microsoft to have a top selling NPD, that's going to be in October when Gears of 4 comes out. And no doubt about that. Because they have the console that is already dedicated to that game, the limited edition Gears of War console, and that's a major game that you can only get on either Xbox One or Windows 10. So we'll see about that. You have any thoughts, Mr. Lugo?
No. I think everything that's been said has been pretty much on the nail. I think that's pretty good.
All right. So how about you, Gary? Any final thoughts on this topic?
Not really. I mean, it's good that, a bunch of new people have gotten into the Xbox ecosystem. I hope they won't be too mad once, you know, the Xbox One S release it. Well, it's released now, but and you know, once they learn more about Scorpio, which is coming out next year, you know, I hope those people won't regret their purchase at that point in time. But yeah, I
Oh,
mean, it's always good to hear, you know, consoles selling. I am interested in so the 3DS got a lot of sales. Is that because the new Pokemon games are coming?
I mean, that's why I'm going to be buying one soon.
Maybe. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
I heard someone made a comment that I laughed, throwdown, where they said, "Well, that's sold because people thought Pokemon Go was coming to 3DS," and I thought that was funny because, yeah, no, I don't know, that's not happening, but I'm not sure. You know, I guess yeah, I guess we'll give props to Nintendo a second time. You know, not only did they send us a game for review, but they actually did well with the 3DS sales, so I'll give them props. But I have no idea what is coming out for 3DS, so I don't know why that was the top selling.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's
so
always sold well. It always sells well.
yeah,
Black
yeah,
Shell
yeah.
said Monster Hunter came out.
Oh, so yeah,
Oh,
okay, so
okay.
okay,
Yeah,
maybe
that's a
that's
good
what
point, but I think that's more significant in Japan than it is here in the States because Japan has a much more wider and bigger presence for Monster Hunter, even though it's kind of growing here in the United States. But I don't think that would be a reason why there's like a huge boost with the 3DS sales here.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Let
interesting.
let me
Interesting.
ask, right? Because I definitely want to get the new Pokemon games, but I've got the old model 3DS, like the XL. Like, is it essential that I buy one of these new ones? Because I'm mad that.
No,
I don't think
no,
so,
the
no.
only time when it was essential to own a new Nintendo 3DS has been for in two instances that I could think of off the top of my head. I think technically three, but I'm forgetting one game. There was Xenoblade Chronicles for the Nintendo 3DS that you needed a new Nintendo 3DS to run that game, but also for Hyrule Warriors Legends because on the old 3DS, I remember reviewing that game for us. And the reason why it ended up scoring so low is because on the old model 3DS, that game is virtually unplayable because it's like there's a whole bunch of stuff that's like huge issues with it. On the new Nintendo 3DS, it kind of worked fine, but it was still kind of a bad game and stuff. But for most of the games, if not all of the ones that have been coming out lately or in the nearby future, you don't need to own the new model. I mean, it is preferable because it boots up games faster and has like little things here and there. But like you can still use your old model 3DS, no problem.
Yeah.
People wonder
Right.
why I'm worried about new consoles coming out.
Uh-oh.
Exactly. Like, it's so annoying. Like, you invest in a console and then they release something more powerful. It's like,
Yep.
More
it makes me
powerful.
just want to stick to PC gaming because, you know, at least I got more control
I know
over
about
it.
that one, son, but either
So,
way, I get your points.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so so let me ask this question again. I asked Max this question before, but I just want to see has his opinion changed. So Max, are you going to be getting an Xbox One S, or are you waiting for the Scorpio, or are you not going to bother with either one?
I'm definitely not going to be touching the S. I haven't decided on Scorpio. If there is a good trade-in deal, I figured I might as well. But I don't think that's going to be a buy one purchase or a day one purchase for me unless it is something that we would have to upgrade to, which I really hope isn't the case, and I don't think it will be. So I'm probably going to wait until a big price drop on that one, on the S, if I get it at all.
I will say this, and this might branch off into a side conversation, so we may have to revisit this topic later. But I do know that Phil Spencer just said recently that they are working on stuff for the Scorpio, and I think that's a bit that contradicts what they said earlier when they said all of the games will run on Xbox One, the One S, and the Scorpio. So we're definitely going to have to revisit that because I think they got to provide more clarity as to what it is they're actually doing with that system.
Yeah, they really do. I agree 100%.
Yeah,
Because it's kind of unreal.
absolutely, absolutely. So, any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
Nah.
All right, so it's time to have some fun now. Next topic. Next week, as everybody knows, is Gamescom. This is one of Germany's. I guess you could call this the E3 the E3 of Germany. I guess you could call it that because it's nothing but games. We know that Microsoft and Sony will not have a show at this year's conference, but I wanted to ask you guys if you had any predictions as to what could potentially be talked about at Gamescom, what could be revealed there or announced, please feel free to give me your thoughts. How about you go first, Gary?
Yeah, first of all, let me just say, because I know a lot of people were probably wondering if I'm going as, a former person of Europe, because, we got the Brexit now. But yeah, I did want to go to this Gamescom, but once, Microsoft and Sony kind of revealed that they wouldn't be there and stuff like that, it didn't feel like it would be a beneficial trip to take, because a lot of expenses goes into traveling, out to Germany for the week, especially now the pound is messed up. So yeah, I mean, like it just didn't seem like something that's worthy of going to at this point, like E3 was and stuff like that. So that's the reason why I decided not to go. And as for predictions, I mean, I'm sure we may get, a few notable announcements that come out of the event. I'm not sure which ones exactly, but I feel like Gamescom this year is going to be more of just an experience thing, like of actually being there and playing the games, because I guess there's going to be a lot of game demos. There'll probably be ones that were at E3, but more polished. There'll probably be new game demos for people to try out. So I feel like Gamescom this year is just going to be, more of an experience where you have to be there to, get the full gist of what's going on there. So that's my thoughts on Gamescom.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw in my little quick prediction. I have no idea. I don't fully believe that this is accurate in any way, shape, or form. I heard that there was a rumor that dropped actually yesterday that said there's a chance that Red Dead is going to be revealed at Gamescom.
The new one?
Not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's why I said it's definitely a rumor. I don't believe that is
There's
accurate.
no need to.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
Oh, go ahead. What was you saying?
I was saying there's no need to be honest with you. Like, Rockstar is one of those few companies that they don't need to really go out their way to like such a crazy event to go announce a game like that, because I mean, Rockstar, whenever they release a game, it's like a major event in of itself. Like, I know I was listening on a podcast one time where somebody said like they could probably be one of those few game developers or game publishers that announces a game like maybe a couple weeks prior to it actually coming out, and then actually get away with it because everybody would be so excited. Like, yeah. I don't think that you're really going to get an announcement that big at Gamescom. I feel like Gamescom, and I was even looking back, like when we were starting out the podcast, like some of the announcements in past Gamescoms, past Gamescoms that have happened like 2014, 2015, and there really hasn't been a lot. Like, yeah, I mean, you did get like stuff like Halo Wars 2 and like an official announcement trailer and stuff like that, but nothing like of significance that really had everybody talking. And I think that this is going to be the same thing with this year. I think that, like what Gary's saying, you're going to get more of an experience actually playing some of the games that have already been announced. I know that there was even some rumors that because PlayStation won't really be at Gamescom, and I'm not even sure if they're really going to be even at Paris Games Week, that they might have like a European version of PlayStation Experience at some point. Like, that rumor's been floating around for quite some time now. But I'm with Gary on this one. You're not really going to get anything at Gamescom. You're just going to hear about games being played.
Yeah, well, hey, that's totally fine with me, because I mean, now that you know that the Scorpio is in development, and you know that whatever this PlayStation 4 Neo is also in development, I think that the more so than anything, you probably won't get anything else outside of the games being talked about themselves. We'll have to wait and see on that. Did anyone else have any predictions as to what can potentially be talked about at Gamescom?
I don't know. I'm just excited. Like they said, I'm just excited to read about the news on some of the newer games, like the new Prey or Halo Wars 2, or even Titanfall 2.
Yeah,
but,
Prey.
Yeah, Prey is going to be interesting, but I don't know. I don't think anything big is really going to come out of this Gamescom either. I think it's just going to kind of happen. We're going to get some news, and then we're going to move on.
You know what it is? You know what it is? Also, keep in mind, later this year's PlayStation Experience, and then also we have Tokyo Game Show. I think that's where you're going to hear news.
Yeah.
Obviously, at Tokyo Game Show, especially with the Japanese side of things, various different games, probably get a little bit more Final Fantasy 15, depending. Oh, wait, no. Tokyo Game Show, I think, is after. No, Tokyo Game Show is in September.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's going to be
Yeah.
before the release
I was
date
just checking
of
that.
Final Fantasy 15 now, like the new release date that we think we're going to get. But also, you're probably going to get like other games that get announced. Probably get other games that have been announced but haven't been shown in quite a while, like Nier Automata, and other stuff like that. But then also PlayStation experience, I think, like obviously for Sony stuff, that's where you're really going to start to get a lot of stuff. Maybe stuff about PlayStation VR, obviously about Neo. If the stuff about the September event, if that plays out, and then we'll probably get more later on. That's where you're going to start hearing stuff. But
Yeah.
for
Well,
now, I think we could.
Also, oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say that for now we could just wait. To be honest with you.
Yeah. I just pulled up this GameSpot article from the 8th a few days ago. It says, for the second year in a row, Microsoft will not have an official presence at Tokyo Game Show, which, yeah, we knew. But it says that Microsoft will be holding a fan event sometime in October, apparently.
That's going to be a trend. That's going to be the trend from now on, because PlayStation already had the success so far with PlayStation Experience last year. Like, this is the second or third year they're doing PlayStation Experience, right? Or is it the second?
It's just the third year.
It's the third year. Okay, so you're going to start seeing a lot of big companies, especially Microsoft, start doing their own events throughout the entirety of the year and not going to these big events like that. Because Gamescom is not small. Gamescom is huge. As far as, like, the amount of people that attend that event. Like, it's like a Comic-Con. Per se, but on a much more bigger scale as far as like space-wise and such. But I think that, like what we keep talking about with E3, there's this idea of controlling the messaging of like what they're going to be announcing and what they're going to be talking about, but also going directly to their hardcore fan base, going directly to the Xbox people, going directly to the PlayStation people, the guys that'll ride or die with that brand, and making those big announcements there with their people. I think that's going to be a trend.
Yeah, I feel like the Gamescom organization, I feel like they're kind of getting screwed in that regard, because I mean, Sony are literally having their meeting like a couple weeks or a week after Gamescom, pretty much. So that could have been at Gamescom if they really wanted to, but they wanted to.
I don't think they have to.
They wanted
don't have to.
No, they don't have to at all. I mean, I agree, they don't have to. It's more beneficial to the companies to control their own outlet, their own messaging. It's definitely more beneficial for them, but it kind of screws these companies that want to put on these big trade shows and stuff like that with press conferences.
Exactly.
They tell Gamescom, hey, welcome to how everyone else felt. This is a trend. EA did this with E3 this year. They said.
But that was a disaster, though.
Oh, that was a
disaster. I mean, but the difference is there, right? Okay, because obviously PlayStation, Xbox being a couple of the big three in that regard, and they could throw a big event like that and make huge announcements that everybody's going to care about because they're obviously the makers of these consoles and stuff. With EA, I think it's a little bit different because even though they're a big third-party publisher like that, you're not going to go to the EA press conference expecting like a gargantuan announcement, even if you're like the biggest Mass Effect or sports fan or even arguably now Star Wars fan at this point. Like, it's just not going to hold that same amount of weight.
Yeah, it's all going to be disappointing.
Yeah. Do you think at Gamescom we might get to hear about some of the games that were missing from E3, like that Wild game, and maybe even some more news about Mass Effect? I'm not sure if EA is actually going to be there, but certain games that we didn't.
I know Ubisoft is going to be there because there was an event that was going on, and from what I understand, that they also will be at Gamescom. EA, I'm not sure.
I'm on IGN's list of the live schedule of Gamescom, and EA will be there because there is which game was it?
Battlefield.
Yeah, Battlefield is going to be there, and then Ubisoft has For Honor, and then Titanfall 2, but there's nothing on Mass Effect. And actually, it says on Friday there's going to be an unannounced title. It doesn't say by who or anything. It just says there's an unannounced title.
And keep in mind, besides that, right? Okay, keep in mind also Paris Games Week is also a thing, so you could also expect some stuff to be talked about there because we've had that before in the past. Like you get like Quantic Dream will go to like Paris Games Week or something like random like that. But my point is like you're not going to get the huge announcements that what people would think like because it's this show like that, and you're hearing all these stories about them not going there, not like these different companies not attending and stuff. The reason really being is because they're going to go do it on their own time, on their own accord, and talk to their own people. Yeah, that's really what it is.
I think, pretty much I agree with that. I mean, we'll have to see if there's anything to be excited for next week. You guys made it sound like there won't be nothing to be excited for. So I don't know what to expect now.
I mean, there's like gameplay and everything.
Impressions.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more on Recore. Honestly, I don't know much about that, and supposedly it's supposed to be a Mega Man successor, a little bit.
Well,
So I think that'll be
I can tell you no from when we saw it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so interested in that. I was like, what?
Well, you know what my thought is? My thought is that this game, yeah, you said Mega Man successor.
Supposedly, yeah.
How about Mighty Number 9? This will make you look at Mighty Number 9 and said, oh man, they messed up on 2 games, Recore and Mighty Number 9.
I could clearly confirm to you that is not a Mega Man successor from what I saw.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I don't understand where this is coming from. I want to see
that's that PR talk is what that is. That weird PR talk.
Oh, so we'll see about that. But any final thoughts before we move on to the main topic?
No, not
I'm
really.
good.
No,
All right, so we're going to segue to the main discussion, which you guys already mentioned, which is this PlayStation meeting that apparently we can't get invited to, or if for now it's up in the air, like several other people, because I know a lot of people that have also gotten the same message that I did receive.
Invites are going out though.
Oh yeah, there's some stuff going out for I guess the people who need to be there, like IGN and all these other sites.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But I wanted to ask the question. I know there has been a lot of rumors that have dropped. I know Gary had a rumor that he mentioned earlier. But I would like to ask, what do you guys think will come from this PlayStation meeting? Because I have a thought as to what exactly is going to come from it, but I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say first. So, Max, if you'd like to go first, I will give you the floor.
Actually, so we're talking about the PlayStation Experience 2016?
No, PlayStation new event in September.
The PlayStation meeting event they announced earlier this week. It's happening in September in New York City, which is happening at the exact same venue they had the PlayStation 4 and gave people PlayStation 4s at.
Exactly.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I would have to guess they're going to talk about the Neo. I would hope they're talking about the Neo since that's supposed to come out this year. I would imagine most of the show is dedicated towards that.
Yes, that's what I would imagine as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sony reports say that they will reveal it.
Well, there you go. Along with the PlayStation Vita 2 also, correct?
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
Our boy Gio, of course, he's going to get on stage and guess what? Guess what, guys? All these PSVR games, they're coming to Vita.
That would actually be awesome if we had another Vita that actually did well, because the Vita was awesome.
I love my Vita.
I
Vita's
see,
awesome.
Well.
I wouldn't be opposed to a new Vita if it wasn't for the fact that they kind of treated the first one real bad. Like they just gave up supporting it pretty much.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
I
doubt it, but we'll see.
So how about you, Mr. Lugo? Any thoughts about this PlayStation meeting?
Okay, so obviously the big thing they're going to talk about is PlayStation Neo. I think that's going to be the majority of the talk because that's what a majority of people want to hear about. I think they're going to hear about specs. I think you're going to hear about why the reason this system is better than the previous PlayStation 4 or what's the reason of dropping the money on it. I think that it'll probably be, not too vague, but they'll get to some of the basic points around it. I think they're also going to talk about PlayStation VR because that's also another talking point, especially if people are thinking about buying the Neo. They're going to talk about why you're going to want to own a Neo and a PlayStation VR system because I don't think they're going to shy away from that. They'll probably talk about some games, probably reiterate some of the games and the titles that were available for PlayStation VR at E3. I think that they'll kind of mention a couple of those big ones, especially like Riggs. Trying to think off the top of my head, again, Res VR or a bunch of other different ones that they showed during E3. I think you'll probably have a little showcase of some games running on the Neo. Particularly if they were smart, I would love to see Last Guardian running on the Neo. I would love to see Horizon running on the Neo.
Oh,
I would love to see was it Detroit Becoming Human running on the Neo? Different games like that all running on Neo. If they're going to be coming out and actually talking about the system for the first time officially like that. I don't think you're going to see too much of a redesign as far as the aesthetic of the new PlayStation Neo. It's going to look probably very similar to the PlayStation 4 we have now. Same thing obviously with the DualShock and all this other stuff. I think really, like I said, the discussion is going to be about that alongside PlayStation VR. I think that's because if you notice when they're talking about this, they're not talking about it being a PlayStation Neo event. It's just a PlayStation conference or a PlayStation event, which means it can encompass everything. Now, I mean, I don't know if they're necessarily going to talk about Vita, but like, you know, that's the general idea. Is like it's everything that's new coming out for PlayStation in the fourth quarter this year, and I think that we'll get even more later on in the year at PlayStation Experience. But I think those are going to be the two main talking points of this conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I do believe they will talk about Neo, but they will talk about the Vita. They will officially announce that the Vita is dead, and they will have a memorial session for that.
My God, Rich.
So
why aren't you running Sony? Jesus.
Oh, hey, maybe I have a shot in the future. Yeah. We'll see. How about you, Gary? And I also want you to discuss this rumor that we spoke about prior to the show starting.
Okay, yeah. So before I get to the rumor, here's what I think will happen. I think, you know, they're gonna show the PlayStation Neo. They're gonna unveil it and talk about it, and, you know, all its benefits and everything like that. And then Sean Murray's gonna come on stage, and No Man's Sky is gonna come up on the screen, and he's gonna be like, "Okay, now you can play multiplayer on PlayStation VR."
I don't know about that. You know what'd be even bigger if that happens? If he's there, right? You know what'd be even bigger? If he says, "Hey, guess what? We got PlayStation VR support." That's what everybody's been talking about for the longest with that game. If they were to talk about that with PlayStation VR, all of a sudden that'd be a cool announcement.
I think that announcement is
would be cool.
You can definitely expect that to happen because it makes sense for that game to be PlayStation VR. Let me go ahead and say something real quick before Gary gets into this rumor. We obviously this is the PlayStation 4 Neo, and I think we know from experience whenever people are trying to limit the amount of people getting into the event, it's because they may be getting something. We've already experienced this with, Gary, the Xbox 360 Slim, which I still have not forgotten about with Microsoft, where they at the E3 they had when they gave away those devices, everyone that was at that event got a Slim. Those that didn't, well, no, better luck next time. So I know that they have limited the amount of people that are going to be coming to this particular event because there's a lot of people I know that have been told, yes, we have noted the request, but you guys, we can't guarantee anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if the people who are in attendance do get a Neo, if the Neo was coming out. But I don't know when the Neo is coming out. All I know is we'll get information about it. I would assume it's coming out this year still. I know that Sony has been very much been saying that it's not really, this is still going to be functional in addition to the PlayStation 4. They don't want people to think, this is just another option people have. So they haven't really tried to push this as like a new experience, a totally new thing. So I'll be very interested to see what the messaging is. But yeah, they'll talk about Neo, they'll talk about PlayStation VR because this will be one of the last times they'll be able to talk about it. They could talk about it at Tokyo Game Show as well. But yeah, this is one of the last times before it launches because it comes out in October.
Here's the thing. I think that you guys need to also bring up the point. Pricing for Neo. I think that's going to be a huge thing. I think that's going to be a big deal, and I think that's something that a lot of people care about because I think we're pretty much all unanimously agree that this is probably going to be expensive. Right? I'm thinking like close to the $500 mark, and I think that I think it's going to be expensive. I think it's going to be very expensive.
You said how much? 500?
It's going to get closer to that $500 mark. Like, it's going to be up there. I don't know if it's going to be $500. I'm just throwing a number out there. But I know it's going to be more expensive than the current model. I think that's going to be something that they're going to talk about, and it's going to probably be one of those like exclamation points or points that show up during the conference that people will be discussing after it's over. Because I think it's going to be the same thing with the Project Scorpion when that comes out. It's also how expensive is this console going to be, especially since apparently it's going to be such a beast of a machine. And I think also with PlayStation Neo, it's going to be also how expensive is this one and why and like how is that going to be realistically doable for people to get also a PlayStation VR system with it. Because keep in mind, PlayStation VR is like what $400? I think it was. Or what was it, $299 or $399 right now for PlayStation VR when it drops eventually. So that's a lot of money for some people.
Well, the only thing I can think of is I know we mentioned this on a previous episode. If there is a bundle but then they would have to make that price more affordable because that's a lot. It's going to be a hell of a lot of money for people to make that investment.
I think the biggest problem also is like if and when they show the Neo, what the games are going to be like running on it. Like, okay, like they're going to show like, oh, hey, here's Horizon Zero Dawn running on the Neo. Okay, this is the benefit of running this game on the Neo, and I think that's what's going to really cause a lot of contention with some people because I think for most part, most games are going to run better on the Neo, at least from what the general consensus I'm getting from other people talking about it. Like that's what it seems like the general belief, or at least the general discussion is about. It's like pretty much these games are going to run better on Neo, and I think that a lot of people that aren't going to get the Neo are just are not able to, especially at launch or for a decent amount of time, maybe into the holiday season. How much of the experience are they going to be missing out on just running the games on their own PlayStation 4 now, or again having a PSVR, okay, with your older PlayStation 4 as opposed to the Neo. Like these are points of discussion I feel like they're going to have to address.
Oh yeah, absolutely correct. One point that I will add to what you said about them showing the differences between this is how it runs on PlayStation 4 and this is how it runs on Neo. I know for a fact that Microsoft will be watching that very closely because they are going to have to do the same thing when they talk about this is the benefit to having a Scorpio and this is the benefit to having the regular Xbox One. So they're going to have to talk about that next year. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be watching this also. I do believe this is going to be a live streamed event. I'm not 100% sure of that. I know it did say that at one point in some of the reports.
I didn't see that, honestly. I wasn't clear on that when I was looking at all the different stuff from other people. Apparently, the thing that I saw the invitation that somebody got. It didn't say anything about it being streamed, obviously, but maybe. It would be cool. I think that it'd be awesome if it was.
Oh, yeah.
And also, keep in mind, the place that they're doing it, there's also this other thing that a lot of people have been talking about, that eventually when PSVR releases, this idea of doing live events where you could watch stuff on your PlayStation VR.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. It does.
Especially during PSX. Like again, like that's something I've seen people talk about, in one avenue or another. But that'll be awesome.
Well, we'll have to see how that all comes together. Yeah. So, but Gary, now I'd like to give you the floor because we have to discuss this rumor. I know a lot of people have averted this rumor because for whatever reason, I guess they decided, well, it's just a rumor. It's not worth talking about. But I definitely think it is worth a bit of a discussion because it's relatively important if it is true. So the floor is yours, Gary.
Yeah, so there's a rumor that PlayStation Now is actually going to come to PC. And that would be pretty interesting because then, it would open up a lot of the exclusive PlayStation titles to PC gamers. And it will probably even cut down on some of the emulation that goes on, with people trying to play the older PlayStation games on PC and stuff like that. So, yeah, that would be interesting. I feel like it's a good move, but the thing is, the price, though, that's the main thing. Like they would have to make that price much more attractive because you've had Microsoft try to charge for Xbox Live before, and PC gamers just they didn't bite. Like that wasn't going to fly at all on PC. No. So it had to be free. So
where did that rumor originate? Honestly.
Do you have a source for where it came from, Rich? Do
you know where it came from?
I saw it on VG247. That's where I saw it.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked.
So where it was
the reason why I asked that is because I know that PlayStation is kind of somewhat dabbled in going into the PC realm, because I know that I think it was like Helldivers I think was also available on PC. There's like little things like that, but I don't think you're really gonna find them, or at least I give a lot of that rumor credence because I don't think you're gonna really see like those big Sony first parties be available on like the PC platform.
Yeah, I
just don't see it.
I don't think you would see like newer PlayStation titles, but I could see them putting like God of War 1 through 3, and just old, like really old PlayStation titles. I could see them putting that on there, making those available for PC. Like I don't see, because that would open up a brand new revenue stream for them if they did that. So business-wise, it would make sense.
And they'd be able to compete with Microsoft a bit, since they're supposedly heading full PC too.
Yeah, exactly.
So here is what that same source had alluded to, is that this announcement is going to take place on August 23rd. So I guess you'll know sooner or later like
in about a week or so.
Yeah, whether or
Yeah.
not that's accurate.
I don't believe it, to be honest with you. It just seems a little bit too outrageous. And I think that, if there was a lot of credence to that rumor, we would have heard about it from other people that are already within those circles asking questions like that. Because I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, Gary, that they would do something like that, even with like older games. Like, I would even go as far as like maybe like what if they made like most of the PlayStation 2 catalog available, or even like super early PlayStation 3 catalog available. But even then, I don't know. I just find it a little hard to believe at this moment.
I mean, I don't know whether they would consider doing it or not, but I just know business-wise it does make a lot of sense because, that opens up a lot of new revenue for them. And, I mean, we're seeing more and more people do that type of thing on PC anyway, like Ubisoft, EA, publishers, they've already done that. And, Microsoft, they obviously have a stronghold on PC alongside Steam. So, I mean, it does make sense in a way because then, they could attach a price tag to that and have those games available. I'm sure there would actually be people who would buy some of those older PlayStation games on PC. So,
I would.
I mean, it's money on the table right there. But, whether
Here's a question
whether
for
they
you.
would do it or not, I don't know.
Here's a question for you, Gary, and anybody else can answer this. What do you think that will be like the repercussions of them doing this? Because, I mean, what do you think this means then? Like, would you be able to get trophies on games when you're playing them through your PC? Like, if you really think about it?
I don't think they would go that far with it. I think it would just be you could stream this game on PlayStation Now from your PC, but I don't think you can earn trophies or I don't think they'll add any of those bells and whistles that you can get on the PlayStation 4.
Can when you're on PlayStation Now, like on your PS4 or PS3 or whatever, can you get trophies from games? Because I never really used it like that, so I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I've never used it either, so.
No. I mean, I think it's a valid question though, because if that's the case, and you're able to stream like more like recent games, like PlayStation 3 era games that matter, and obviously on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, those games have trophies and stuff. Would you be able to realistically earn trophies playing through the PC like that? I think that's a valid question.
Yeah,
it's a valid question, but I don't think I think it would be bog standard streaming. I think that's basically what it would be. Like, I don't think they would open up the PlayStation Network to the PC. Just they would just have that one service where you can stream certain old PlayStation games.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, like I said, if it's just a rumor, that's fine. But I guess we'll know soon, since apparently August 23rd is when you will get this information. So we'll see about
Rich,
that.
I got another question, Rich, because I think this is actually, I just thought of this now.
Yeah.
How much info do you think we get now, and how much info do you think we get saved for PlayStation experience?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Because think about it, okay? Because this is all before PSX, right? All this is happening before PSX, and then you obviously have your other events and stuff. But like, just for the sake of argument, let's just say this and PSX in December, okay? So we have this event, okay, which is going to be the coming out party for the PlayStation Neo, okay? And I still think they're going to talk about PSVR and stuff. Then what do you think happens at PlayStation Experience? Do you think we get even bigger announcements that have probably been in the works for a while? Or do you think we get more of a reiteration of what we get now? Because I don't think Sony's going to blow all the big news or probably like give us all the details now. And I still don't think the PlayStation Neo is coming out this year. I think it's next year. I don't think it comes out this year at all.
So I'll answer this question first, and everybody else could chime in. I think what you'll end up getting is a lot of stuff saved for PlayStation Now. And I would say the PlayStation Now stuff is going to be obviously more of the games that are either coming out in 2017 or a little bit further down, maybe 2018. You'll probably get some updates on Spider-Man by that time, and a lot of the other games like Days Gone, God of War, so on and so forth. But as for this event in particularly, I think it's going to be just about showcasing the Neo and maybe some of the upcoming lineup. Also have to remember that Tokyo Game Show, I don't know if Sony is going to be at Tokyo Game Show yet, but the majority of the stuff announced there is just going to be like the Japan stuff. Maybe you'll see the what is it? Neo. Yeah, you'll hear more about that. Maybe some Gravity Rush 2 stuff, and I guess Final Fantasy, maybe even Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff.
Oh,
but
I doubt that. No, that already is coming in December, and I think that's going to happen at PSX.
Oh well, hey, it's
That was already talked about with them, but I get your point though.
Yeah, well, Final Fantasy VII remake, another game that could be discussed at either event. But I think a lot of stuff is going to be held for that PlayStation Experience event, just for the simple fact that that's an event that fans also go to. It's not just press, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to want to, give fans a lot to be excited for. So I would imagine you'll see more about Spider-Man, God of War, stuff like that, and then you'll also get some of the other stuff that they wanted to talk about at the same event. But how about you, Max? Any thoughts on that question?
Not a whole lot. I don't keep up on the PlayStation brand a whole lot. I should, and I need to a bit more. A lot of this is news to me, a lot of the Sony news that we had in this podcast. I would be very excited to see PlayStation Now come to the PC, especially with trophy support and everything. I doubt it'll happen, but I think that would be freaking awesome because I never had a PS3, so I didn't get to play a lot of those older games on it. So it'd be cool to go and experience those. I had PS2.
Check this out, because Blackstar put this in the chat. I just noticed it now. With PS Now, it brings up a PlayStation 3 dashboard, so you could still theoretically earn trophies by playing on PlayStation Now through that on your PC. So I think the answer would be yes, then.
Oh wow.
Much
more appealing.
Because it brings up a PS3 dashboard. So I guess that's yeah.
Well,
they would still have to work on that pricing model, though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying for sure that I believe this is going to happen because, it might not happen. It might just be a rumor, just to be a rumor. But I think, if that does happen and you can get trophies, they would have to build some type of, control panel or of some sorts that kind of, it will be a smaller scale PlayStation network within PC.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So. Yeah, because you can't just have people getting trophies and them not being logged anywhere. Like you would have to have some sort of interface for that.
And they've kind of done it before with Steam. What if they made they haven't done that before. They've done a deal with Steam before with like Portal 2 and all that. What if they did PlayStation Now through Steam? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
that definitely
possible, that definitely would be cool if they partnered with Steam.
We'll see about that. So, but yeah, about what JJ said, Gary, you have any thoughts on what he said as far as is Sony going to hold back some information and save it for PlayStation Experience or what?
Well, yeah, right now they should just be focusing on hardware announcements because the Neo is, people still think it's coming this year. You got PlayStation VR coming. I still feel like we haven't seen enough of that just yet, especially like the launch lineup and stuff like that. So I do feel like at this moment in time, they need to focus completely on hardware and selling the hardware because, like, why should anybody buy PlayStation VR and PlayStation Neo? Like, they need to really sell people on that. Yeah. So I do feel like in terms of games themselves, they definitely should hold back on showing and showcasing games till PlayStation Experience. So at PlayStation Experience, it could just be focused entirely on games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like you really have to explain what this new device is and why it's a device that you would be interested in. And that, like I said, they really have to explain that, similar to what Microsoft will have to do with Scorpio. You can't just say it's the most powerful console ever. No, I want to see the results of what it is that I will be investing in. So, similar with this device. We already know 4K, and the thing about it, the price is going to be a very interesting point of discussion because, like I said, with the Xbox One S, that does 4K. It does not do the gaming stuff. It upscales gaming stuff to 4K, but mainly that's for video and TV stuff. The Xbox One S. So you see that's already $400 for the 2 terabyte, and the other models are going to be $300 for 500 gigs and $350 for the 1 terabyte. So I will be very, very curious to see how much PlayStation 4 Neo is going to cost because this is supposed to do a lot more than that. But we'll see. So, any final thoughts on this topic before we wrap up?
Yeah. I mean, we also have Gran Turismo and Last Guardian coming out this year, and I feel like we haven't seen enough of those either. Like, so
Uh-oh.
I don't know, because I mean, Gran Turismo, they should have put out a lot of like information on that because
Well,
I'm
yeah.
I'm not sold at all. And I like Gran Turismo. I like some of the old Gran Turismo games, but like it's like they completely ignored it at E3,
Well,
and there hasn't
Yeah, they
been
did.
much information on it since. So like,
well,
is this just going to be a game that comes and goes? Like,
well. Let me ask a quick question for you, Gary. You would know this. Isn't the driving games more popular over in Europe, Germany, those types of areas?
yeah,
So,
driving games are big in Europe, but the thing
so
is, you have Forza, and that's become like the most recognized driving simulation brand now. So
well,
it,
some
if you really want to compete with that, you should show us more of the game.
some people are going to argue with that. I of course don't argue with it because I think that Forza Horizon 2 that had to be one of the best racing games that I have played so far this generation. Yeah, some people may argue with that, but you make a very valid point. I would think that that damn sure better be getting talked about next week at Gamescom. Regardless of the fact that Sony won't have a presentation, there's going to still be some games there. So that game damn sure better be front and center
I
at
don't
that
think you're
show.
going to get that. I don't think you're going to get that at all. I think that you're just only at Gamescom. You're only going to get the discussion of games that were already shown at E3. And as far as Last Guardian, as far as like being talked about more, I think we've already seen enough of that game. Just get it out. I think
Well,
that there's
I'll say this now. I've seen enough of that game to know I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
But my point is, get it out already. Like it's coming out sometime soon. Okay, very soon. It's within the next like month or two, give or take. So I think at this point, there's nothing more to be said about it. Just get it out and give it to people. It's like the same thing with Final Fantasy 15. I think we've seen enough. Just get the game done and get it out to us.
I do agree with that. I still think you're going to see some Last Guardian at that Tokyo Game Show. Just as a reminder, listen, this is coming out next month. We need you guys to remember this.
I don't know. I just was not sold on that game when they revealed it.
And that's going to be a lot of people. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people are that's another one I think that's going to get really brutalized when that game comes out as far as reception. Because it's the same thing with No Man's Sky, like the expectations of it. I think people need to temper themselves a little bit because this was a game that was originally supposed to come out on PlayStation 3. Let's keep that in mind. And like all that other stuff happened. So it's going to be like a PS3 game by the time we get it, even though it's on PS4. So I mean, we've already seen enough.
This is true, but I know we do have a lot of people that they've been waiting for this game. This is one of their most anticipated games. So hopefully they are not disappointed. As I have to say that I also side with Gary and Max. You already know I'm not picking this up. And when the game comes out, I'll be sure that I watch the Never-Ending Story so I can feel how the game truly is. And that'll be all
story. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to be disappointed when that game comes out. Just get it out to us. Like, there's nothing more that needs to be said about it. Just get it out to us.
Yeah.
It's a shame because, like, obviously we don't want any game to end up badly, but that's just how this is looking. Not even badly, just kind of boring. I don't know. I really don't know what to think. It just doesn't look interesting to me at all.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's totally understood. It's understood. Yeah. What are you gonna say, Gary?
I mean, I know they got a huge fan base for the Ico and the Shadow of Colossus games, so I'm hoping at least that audience will love this game.
I don't think it's going to hold up as well because of that. I think, again, because, like I said, originally that game was supposed to come out on PS3, like, within a much shorter span than now, closer to the release of Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. And it's going to play very similar to that, and I don't think that just holds up right now. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed, and I think everybody should brace themselves for it.
And, like, keep in mind, I haven't really heard news of it since it was announced. Like, people don't seem to be talking about it a whole lot. Yeah,
people
it was at
E3.
And
people
like no one's talking about it though. Like aside from that, I haven't heard much on it at all.
Well, you'll probably hear some more news. Maybe it'll be IGN first or something in the next.
Well, actually, that's the thing. I was just gonna say that like IGN openly talked about what they played and stuff, and I think they were one of the few outlets that actually got to play it behind closed doors. But that wasn't on the floor. The only thing they had was that display with the big bird dog, like that was from Tokyo Game Show and stuff. Yeah. That was the only thing everything that you saw with it. But even then, like, there's really not much more to say about that game. That's the thing, and I think that's to their benefit. Just get it out and then let everybody know that it's out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well, we'll see
I
what
think
happens.
at this point,
Yeah, we will.
I think it's a PS3 game releasing on the PS4, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's
Exactly what I said. That's what it is.
yeah, what JJ said.
Yeah, hey, listen, I can't wait to see the comments on this. People are going to be going in on you, Gary. Talk the trash about the Last Guardian. Talked about everything. So I look forward to these comment section.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Well, maybe I'd play nicer if people left comments, when I don't. So
Whoa. Ouch.
we had great discussions last week and hardly no one commented. So
That's
why I got to turn up.
I will tell you this: there will be a comment because PlayStation or Xbox are mentioned in the title, so people obviously will have something to say now. But yeah, shout outs to those that did comment. But yeah, I think that's it for this week's show. If you guys like to give any final shout outs or let people know how to follow you on Twitter, how about you go first, Max?
Not really, as usual. I'm just excited to be on the show. Love being here and being a part of the Koalition. And thanks again, guys, for having me.
Absolutely. And if people wanted to follow you on Xbox Live or,
Oh, yeah. On Xbox Live, my gamer tag is Maximal, Maxemole, and same on Steam. If you guys ever want to play anything or anything like that.
Awesome. Okay, how about you, Mr. Lugo?
Just shout out to everybody out there that's been following the site. Shout out to everybody who's leaving comments on all the articles, the reviews, the editorials, the podcasts and stuff. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. We always appreciate you guys in the chat talking to us, Black Star, and everybody else leaving comments in there. That's pretty awesome. Shout out to everybody supporting us out on Patreon. That's always a good thing. Again, we got some great content coming to you very soon on Patreon. You guys just released the Versus episode, I know, for the Patreon subscribers. But we also got Turn-Based that me and Gary just did. We're bringing Turn-Based back, where we talked about our top 5, each of us, our top 5 favorite JRPGs or RPGs of all time currently, and that was a fun discussion talking about just role-playing games and such. You guys definitely should look forward to that when it eventually gets posted and stuff. Shout out to everybody, that's reading all the editorials, reading all the reviews and everything else that we put up on the website. As always, we really appreciate it. Again, more reviews coming very, very soon. Later this week, I have Metroid Prime Federation Force that's going up, and then I believe in the next 2 weeks, I have King of Fighters 14, depending on when the embargo, if it gets changed or not, again, because of the street date breaking and such. But a lot of good content coming, guys, so definitely look forward to all of it. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely. And if people want to follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at VenomousBatman1 on Twitter. Again, I'm always on there. You guys could also find me on YouTube as well, Gamers with Gains. You guys can follow me on Twitch, Gamers with Gains. Again, I'm all over the place talking a whole bunch of stuff related to gaming. I'm always open to answering questions and interacting with all of you guys in the chat, on Twitter, all over the place. Again, you guys have a number of different places you could reach me at.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Gary Swaby, any final thoughts, shout-outs, etc.?
Yeah, shouts to everyone who's commenting and tweeting at us while we were recording the show. Black Star and Wesley. Shouts to you guys. Shouts to our Patreons, M. Collins and Gority, and we actually had I think it was Mike Madden. I don't know for sure if it's Mike Madden, but shouts to Michael anyway, because I saw that you became a Patreon as well. And yeah, I mean, just to bounce off of what JJ was saying, we just released a Versus episode, which is exclusive to the Patreon for those people who are supporting us on there. And that was basically a debate about the Nintendo NX and whether it will be Nintendo's savior. That was between Charles and Chris Seeley from the Throwdown. So it was a very interesting debate right there. So it's definitely worth checking out. And myself and JJ also brought back Turn-Based, which is our podcast dedicated to just RPGs, basically. And yeah, we had a discussion about our top 5 RPGs of all time, and that will be released this coming Friday on the Patreon as well. And we've got giveaways and other things coming, and for the people who have been supporting us in the long term, we're also planning to give you guys some gift cards and stuff like that in the future as well. So we just want to thank everybody who supports us and keeps us going.
Absolutely. And I also would like to give a special shout out and thanks to all the fans that if you're either watching live, we appreciate the support, or you're watching this at a later time, we appreciate the support. For the Patreon subscribers, we thank you very much for the continued support. As these guys both said, there is a turn base that is going to be coming later this week, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled out for that. We are going to be having a giveaway, and it appears as though Final Fantasy 15 was the game that won the most votes. Big surprise there, right? Now, I'm not sure how this delay will impact that, but we are going to do that giveaway in the not too distant future, so look out for that. Um, Let me see. Did I have anything else to add? No, we just thank you guys all for the support, and we will talk to you all next week.
Peace out, everybody.
Later, everybody.
See you guys.